Forgot my extra lights. And to clean my glasses. Oh, maybe I won't clean my glasses. Yep, alright. Bottom of the shirt. Good enough. Rock and roll. Alright. Now I think I've touched my face every way I need to. Now I can put my gloves on and proceed to not touch my face for like 2 hours. Which is hard. So, let's actually get a couple of tools out. Including my favorite tool. Alright, that's probably sufficient. One more. Pile of tools. Move my mouse. I also joyfully found a tool I've been meaning to grab for a minute, so. I'm interested to see how many viewers I actually get tonight, since I'm competing with the president-elect. But, you know, fine. Whatever. But, yeah, timing. Joe Biden is apparently giving a speech right now. Oh, well. Maybe I can't compete with that. That's okay. I accept. Let's see. Boop. Should probably that angle down a little more. There we go. I can really appreciate. This is so much cleaner than it was. It's nice to actually see like a difference. Because sometimes it feels like I'm picking away forever and nothing is happening, but that's not actually true. I'm definitely removing gross. And this is it. This is the last night I'm working on this guy before it goes into some sort of bath. I just keep looking at it and be like, I can get a little more off. Oh, I did so much good work last week. Good job, Halloween version of myself. Still a little frozen. I did like a piece of ice. So I think really all I have left here is some of these like gross interskull areas. Like there's a bunch of shmoo in there. Obviously this palette and some stuff right around the back of the head, but... And I've got my hydrogen peroxide ready. My order came in. Oh, hi, Sheridan Mom. So... Yeah, this is it. I'm no matter how far I get tonight, this is going into some sort of soak, and I'm never working on it to this quite level again. It is time. Time to let this project move on. I really prefer skinning to all this fleshing, I have to say. Like, skinning is fun. This feels like drudgery. But I do like the end results, so, you know. Do what you gotta do, I guess. And hopefully this week I'll be able to go out and pick up some more specimens. And get all those started. Ooh, those gums are coming right off. Ooh. I'd been avoiding going by these gums, but they're actually just, like, letting go. Oh, look at that. Nice. Easy peasy. So, Mom, it might just be you and I tonight, since I am competing in this time slot with the president-elect. So, might be a slow night on Twitch, but that's okay. I'll get some work done, I'll hang out with you, This is nice. We can talk about it wherever you want. I just can't eat Halloween candy while I do it. It's over there, waiting for me. At this point, Reed has eaten almost all of the candy that he can, so I've got all the stuff that has gluten left in it, which left me down to Kit Kats, which is pretty alright, and Whoppers. Did you take a walk today? No. Wanted to, but the timing just didn't work out for a couple of different reasons. Hopefully tomorrow. But what I did get to do was actually spend time on my balcony, which was great. I love my balcony so much, and we had the windows open. I mean, a little cold, but we had the windows open, and we're able to actually spend some time out on the balcony. So I did get to go outside a little bit, just not on a full walk like yesterday. Perhaps tomorrow. I have no idea what the weather's supposed to be like tomorrow, so hopefully nice enough. But it would have been a good day today. It was super nice out. How about you? Have you been able to spend any time outside? Enjoying the unseasonably nice weather? Because, man, this time last year, it was like 2 inches of crusty, grody snow. It's very different this year. Ah, yeah, this is still really cold. I didn't really give it as much time to thaw today as I try to. It's okay. It's really nice to have the windows open in my apartment or to go sit out on the balcony, because when I take a walk, I'm wearing a mask, and so I don't get to, like, smell all the nice fall smells, which is a real bummer. I like the smell of, crunchy leaves and the cool kind of crisp wind and all that, and the mask is doing its job good, but it's kind of a bummer. Aw, great. So you had lots of time outside, and now your yard is winter ready, and the weather is still supposed to be good for a couple more days. That's fantastic. I need to finish getting my balcony winter ready. We got like half done. Our umbrella has been down for a couple weeks. I put that away pretty quick because I don't need the wind to tear it apart. So we took our balcony umbrella down a while ago, but we left some chairs and stuff out there, and I've been kind of lazy about wrapping up my plants. I just have to, rip out old dead stems and close it out for the season, and I just haven't gotten out there. So perhaps this week I will finally catch up with living stuff. Or, well, I guess a lot of it's not living anymore, but, I have to figure out what I'm going to do with my blueberry bush for the winter, too, because it is in a pot, but I gotta stash that guy somewhere now that its leaves have all fallen off. Because it is, in fact, deciduous. A nice deciduous shrub. Oh, for anybody who didn't hear the stream where I was going on and on about oak trees, I learned that oak trees can be both can be either. I'm sorry, there's so many species of them that an oak tree can be deciduous or evergreen. So live oaks, of course, are the evergreens, and I just didn't realize that you could have like a category of trees that would span both evergreen and not. So I guess I think more specifically I hadn't thought about it critically. So there's that. My blueberry bush is decidedly deciduous. It loses its leaves in the fall. And perhaps next year I will get more than one blueberry off of my blueberry bush. It was a delicious single blueberry, but, one can hope. I'm not too mad about only getting one blueberry off. It's just an attractive little bush, so it has other fine qualities. So last week I managed to get the other eye orbit totally fleshed out. This one still has all this, like, mleh left on it. Mleh, of course, being a technical term. Let's see. Ah, this palette is so gross. Okay, so those gums came off real nice. Let's see if I can mess with this palette at all. I feel like I can come around this corner and have an effect. Shard Mom, you said, do you have enough windows to bring plants in for the winter? No, especially because we have 3 cats who are jerks. So they will chew on / push over plants on windowsills. So usually what I have to do, we have a dedicated window where I actually removed the blinds completely and put up like a privacy cling film. And we have a 3-shelf plastic plant shelf that hangs there. So the shelves themselves are clear, so as much light as possible can continue to get through. It doesn't make its own shadow, which is real nice. And that holds a bunch of plants. And over last winter, we actually put a hook there too, so we can hang our one hanging basket right by that window. And so most of the plants can go there. I have a big tree, like one of those kind of spiky little palm trees that you'll see in a dentist office or airline corridor or something like that. It's called a dragon tree. They're native to Madagascar. And that guy lives on my back landing. And that one's pretty cool because there's actually windows in our back landing, which is a shared stairwell for the 3 units. But there's enough sunlight back there that it's fine. I just have to remember to water it. But luckily, it's a it's like an arid region plant, which is one of the reasons it's such a good houseplant. So it survived last winter and looked pretty okay. So I'm hoping I can bring that guy in. Or rather, it's already back there. I'm hoping that it'll be okay out on that landing. Because that thing's huge. It's as tall as I am. It's a real cool plant. And I would have it in... Heck, I'd have it in here. Except the cats chew on it. And they're like, no, man, don't ruin my freaking plants. You obligate carnivore. Like, come on. But, yeah. Cats, man. They're a problem. But yeah, so I can get most of my stuff in. I tried last year putting plants on top of this one bookshelf I have, and they did not get enough sunlight, so I've got kind of limited options, but figure something out. But right now, my spiderwort plant is over by that window. Hey, library rat. I have a spiderwort. I have 3 aloes, and a jade plant, and a little succulent. I don't know what it is, so they're there. Aw, library rat. Aw, it was so much fun being on your Twitch. I'm so glad. No, your art was amazing. Oh yeah, I love spiderwort. It's great. So. Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know Library Rat, follow her. She's amazing. She does digital art, Photoshop stuff, and is just immensely talented and a joy to watch. But yeah, no, your stuff was fun to watch, and the hardest part was sitting on my couch trying to like thumb type as fast as possible and be coherent. So I'm sorry for my chat contributions that were a little hard to understand. But you got it. You got my points. So. Oh, there's so much gross. Oh, you know what? I forgot to get a hemostat. No wonder I can't grip anything. Yeah, see, sure, and Mom agrees. That was a good stream. Aw, such love, such community. Yay! Being surrounded by talented people is cool. Oh, there's a good bit. Blap. Yeah, Library Rat, your stream had the benefit of your thing looking beautiful when you're done. Mine just keeps getting, like, grosser. I mean, parts of it look really good. Like, that's looking like nice clean bone. You know, I'm starting to get through, but no matter what, this is going in a bucket at the end of this stream. I think I'm gonna get enough off today that I'll feel good about it, because it's time. Doing this by hand is real slow. But yeah, no, there is progress. I am definitely getting bits off of him, but ugh. Like, I've never done a skull this big. This has been a lot of learning about how slow this goes. Oh, the countdown widget? Yeah. No, there's some fun ones. So, I'm glad you like that. Yeah, library, you and I are gonna have to compare notes. We can have a work call, like an office call. A meeting about Twitch nuts and bolts. Because clearly I miss meetings, but... Oh, Chardon Mom, you're sitting in your basement repairing a large braided rug, enjoying the stream. That's cool. So, yeah, I have repaired one rug, ever. Not a braided rug. So that's neat. I hope it comes out really nice. I'm glad I'd like to think that I inspired you to repair stuff, because I'd spend so much time fixing things. I feel really good when I fix stuff, because inevitably the thing I fixed does not look like it's, you know, never been broken, but looks like I fixed it and brought it back, and that makes me feel good. I really like repairing things. Last night I was pricing getting a trainer for my bicycle. So I've been terrible about actually getting on my bike and leaving my house for a whole number of reasons, good and bad. But we'll go with the one good reason, which is it's a pandemic. And so I'm looking into getting a bike trainer, and trainers are these little stands that you can buy that you hook the back wheel of your bike to, so it holds it up off the ground, and then you can just ride your own bike in your house. So instead of buying an entire exercise bike, which takes up a ton of room, you just use your own bicycle just on this little tripod thing. And I started doing the research for that yesterday, and I'm being really drawn to this one brand called Kinetic, because their stuff is meant to be able to be repaired and upgraded. So that whole right to repair thing that's kind of becoming a global notion, they're kind of on that. So if you buy their stuff in 10 years, you're probably still using the same steel frame, because it's a steel frame. Who cares? But you can replace the rollers. If there's new technology that clips onto it, you can just clip it on. And I'm like, ooh, that I care about. You know, I like the idea of having fancy stuff that wants me to fix it and maintain it and love it forever, instead of just throwing it away after 6 months. Oh, there's some big old chunkos. See, I'm getting a ton off. These intercranial sections are real loose at this point. I think all the freeze thawing is causing tissue damage, which is great since I'm not eating this. So like food that's in the freezer, you don't want it to freeze or burn. And you know that like freezing and thawing your food a bunch of times is like a super big no-no. It's just going to turn to slime and be gross. I want this to turn to slime. I'm not eating it. And so I think some of this is actually getting a lot easier to work with because of the multiple freeze thaws that I've subjected it to. It's as if that's really bad for tissue. Hooray! Because freezing in general is just real bad for meat, or, you know, muscle, however you want to think of it. Which is why that's what frostbite is ice crystals form inside of your cells, and the ice crystals expand. You know, kind of like if you freeze a bottle of Coke, the bottle explodes. And so if you get ice crystals in your cells, they freeze, or the ice crystals just bust out the side of your cells, and then you turn to mush, and your fingers rot off. And so I'm effectively, like, subjecting this to freezer burn, or frostbite over and over and over again. To my advantage. which is, again, like a super slow way to do this process, but I don't have beetles, so super slow it is. No, come back. And I'm hoping to pick up some new specimens this week. We'll see how the stars align. If I don't, I have a somewhat gnarly roadkill squirrel that I found that he's pretty flat. But we'll see. Might be able to get something out of that dude. So that might be my next project, is this kind of Funko squirrel I found. Because working with roadkill that you find outside of your usual stomping grounds can be pretty funky. Like, if you're commuting and you drive the same route every day, you know that bugger is fresh, you're fine. But if you're, like, driving along a highway you don't usually go on, you're like, oh, hey, I'll go grab that. You don't know how long it's been there, you know. So those are always kind of a gamble. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes it does not. I had one that I very decidedly left behind in Humboldt Park because I picked it up and I could tell that the muscle was green, and I'm like, whoa, that is not okay. And so that guy got a quick yote into the brush and I left. But, you know, I got it out of the street. Oh yeah, no, it was super gross. So I still think I did my civic duty. You know, one less dead roadkill squirrel on the road for people to have to look at and feel bad about. Doing my part. As a good vulture should. So as I'm doing all of this internet stuff, I'm also getting into Instagram. And Instagram seems to just be a competition to see who can hashtag everything and/or who can adhere to hashtags that already exist. And so I keep coming across ones that I would never think to, like, search for, but apparently someone else has. And one of them is vulture culture. And vulture culture are people who pick up roadkill, find things in the woods, you know, and deal in found death, basically. And I'm like, okay, well, actually, I strongly identify with this. I just didn't know it had a term. Yeah, no, Library Rat. Some of the stuff I found has been pretty fun. But vulture culture. Like, okay, good job, whoever came up with that nice rhyme scheme. Came up with and/or popularized, however you want to think of that. There's so much goo in here. You know, I have to imagine that this has something to do with chewing, having these big muscles back down in here, but I really don't know. I did buy a couple of little manuals for dissecting certain vertebrates, but nobody dissects a sheep except if you're, like, at University of Wisconsin or something. Library Rat, your favorite hashtag on Instagram is kind of naughty for bread making. Are you ready? Crumb shot. Oh, yep, that's kind of naughty. Yeah, the things people think up, it's so good. And Instagram, like, half of it, I think, is coming up with those hashtags. Like, how many people would have thought to look at that, but if you see it on a post, and then you're like, oh, I might use that next time, and then that's, you know, it popularizes and goes. Like, okay, man, good job. Way to create culture there. Very silly culture. Crumb shot. Yeah, that's real bad. The one thing I'm not a huge fan of, and I don't want to be the guy who does, is people who hashtag every tiny variation of a term. And so, like, let's say with bones, hashtag bone, hashtag bones, hashtag bone life, hashtag bone dog, hashtag da-da-da-da. And I'm like, I see what you're doing, and I don't even necessarily know that it's wrong. I think that would be too firm of a stance to take, but that's not me. I think too many variations of the same thing. Like, nah. Oh, that came off real nice. Yeah, and the other thing with Instagram is since I've been using that so much more, you can cross post. So, when it goes up on Instagram, it instantly goes up on your Facebook and your Twitter and your Tumblr if you want, things like that. Which means suddenly I'm adding hashtags to my personal Facebook, but my personal Facebook isn't public, so those things wouldn't be searchable anyway, so they're kind of silly. But I think people understand. I'm not too worried about if my friends from high school are judging me or something. I was worried about that in high school, but less now. Oh, there's a giant something important. Head stuff. Weird sheepy head stuff. So, in the continuing tales of cool stuff that I found on Twitch, right before popping onto my own stream, I was watching the Insomnia DJ stream. I continue to be impressed with how much I like watching DJs on Twitch, and they're so classy. They're all wearing masks, at least so far, and while this one set was going on, they popped up like a pop-up window that said, "Stay safe, stay home," and like to have somebody in the entertainment biz be really supporting that is great, where they found a way that they can stay active and create their art while also, keeping the message of we want everybody to be safe is really great. And it makes me care about their stuff even more. I'm like, okay, well played. Do that thing. Because having just DJ dancey music on, getting ready for a stream is actually pretty great, because it's fairly energizing, and you don't have to pay super attention to it because the jam keeps rolling. It's a pretty good format, actually, for Twitch. The other adorable thing I found on Friday morning was a gentleman in Sweden. So this is a Swedish PhD student. I didn't catch his name, but he streams while doing his graduate work in his lab, and basically he's just going through vials and vials and vials of spiders that were collected 15 years ago and then preserved in alcohol, and IDing them. And so it's just, and these spiders are teensy weensy. They're like the size of gnats. They're super, super teeny little spiders. And so he's pulling them out of these vials, putting them under a really, really, really nice microscope. And you can see the view through his microscope, so you can see them really up close. And IDing them, recording the IDs, and if they're juvenile or male or female, and then putting them in different vials and moving on to the next. And it's... he's so funny. So he's Swedish, so he speaks fantastic English, but with an incredibly thick accent. And the way he pronounces scientific nomenclature is not how I do. And so that's been kind of fun to see, like, a different... somebody whose language base is not Latin-based, saying the names is really funny. Hey, not here, good to see you. So yeah, this Swedish guy doing spider idea is great. And, he does do some amount of field work, I think, and or just bumps around in the field because it's fun. And so he had caught a pseudoscorpion, a live pseudoscorpion, who he named Peter, and had on the stream where looking under the microscope so you can see this tiny little pseudoscorpion running around next to a leaf in a little container. And it was just the cutest dang thing. For anybody who doesn't know, if you live in a temperate region in the northern hemisphere, so hello everybody in Ohio and elsewhere, you're surrounded at this moment by pseudoscorpions. They're in your house, they're in your yard, there's pseudoscorpions all around you. Pseudoscorpions are the cutest dang little creatures ever. They are teensy weensy. Again, they're like the size of gnats or smaller. There's little teeny dudes. And the pseudoscorpion thing is they are arachnids, so they're in the same family as scorpions and spiders and harvestmen and things. But they do not have the poisonous stinger. So they have a little round butt, and they have a cute little, thorax head, and then big old pinchers, little pinchy pinchers. They're so cute, and they're like the size of poppy seed. They're just these little tiny predators of the dust and dirt who run around, and they are predators. They're vicious little predators who will catch other just impossibly tiny things and eat them. And they're just the most precious little guys. And he had this one he named Peter that he kept trying to get it to eat springtails, and it was mostly just freaked out being under bright light under a microscope. And then when he was done with the feed, he let it go, and it was very fun. So arachnid enthusiast found an arachnid, and a living arachnid along with all the dead ones in his lab. It was fun. Yeah, it was so cute. I don't know if I've ever actually... I've never identified a live pseudoscorpion in my environment. I know they're very common, but they're so small and I don't play enough in the dirt, I guess. But... oh no, favorite species name. Shoot! I should have looked up the pseudoscorpion name. Okay. Favorite species name. One that I haven't done. I did Bubo the other day. I don't think I've done Bufo. These are different. So Bubo is a Eurasian owl. Bufo is a Eurasian Northern Hemisphere toad. And I just love how cute, like, how close they are in their name. But yeah, so Bubo is an owl, and Bufo, Bufo is a common toad. So, there you go. And a lot of the, So, Library Rat, you said, this may be a stupid question, probably not. But are those bones in the palate, or are they just very deep ridges? Also, yeah, Bubo. So cute. So, this up here in the black area, is that what you mean? Or blacky gray area? Or do you mean, this stuff up here? Okay, in the black area. This is the soft palate. And so, if you run your tongue behind your teeth, you can feel those ridges on your own mouth. And if you eat a corn chip, you can cut right through them. And so, yeah, this is soft tissue. So, blah, blah, blah. So under that is, hard palate. So that's the actual bone there. And there are, I believe there will be 2 openings when I get into this a little bit. I just have to get all that, gummy stuff out. Why is it black, you wonder? I have no idea. Good question. Certainly not to protect against sunlight. Yeah. Yeah, look it up. See if you can figure out why the inside of a sheep's mouth is black. And maybe they aren't all, like, maybe this sheep was black. I doubt that. I think, black sheep are pretty uncommon in industrial sheep, but, yeah. If you find an answer, please do share it. Now you got me back over here. Oh, but with those scientific names, when they have the repetition like that, it generally means that they are the first of their type that were ever found, and or that's just what the actual Latin word was. so a Roman, if a Roman saw a toad, they would be like, oh, bufo. That's what Romans sound like. So it's kind of lazy. It's the Latiniest of Latin. It's just the word that means toad in ancient Latin. But I don't care. It's still funny because, of course, to go with Linnaean style two-name nomenclature, they just doubled it. Bubo, bubo, bufo, bufo. Now, obviously, something like bison, bison, which is a North American species, they're just like, we can just do the same thing. So there's no Roman ever saw an American bison, but... Oh, cool. Okay, so I'm pulling on this bit here, and I can see movement up in there. I don't know if I can get the camera right. Nah, it's not, I can't really quite get the angle, but yeah, so this is a continuous hole that led to this other side. That's gross and cool. Yeah, so that's... that connection there... Oh, man, where's Carlos when I need him? I don't know if that's going to be a nerve or a blood vessel. I kind of want to guess nerve, but... Library rat. I can see movement is super gross in this context. Yes, there is nothing wiggly in this. When I'm not working on it here, it's in my freezer. There will be no little friends waiting to pop out and say hi. And or undeath, I suppose. But your disquiet is reasonable and funny. Oh, that's a nice big piece. It's coming off. Oh. I keep almost switching hands here. Aha! There, that's really coming off. That's nice. Just flip that guy around. Let's get this other side cleaned. So I feel like, a lot of animals have dark gums and tongues. Dogs, cats, lots of stuff. I wonder if there's some sort of benefit to having the inside of your mouth not be terribly obvious. So like when you open your mouth, you're not flashing bright colors the way that like humans do. So for us, having a brighter inside of your mouth might be beneficial for communication, but if you don't speak to communicate, then maybe that's not a good thing. I'm just totally spitballing. I have no idea. But you're not finding anything on your search? Okay. Well, Library Rat, thanks for looking. Yeah, that one, I feel like there's a veterinarian somewhere who does know the answer to that, but the internet probably doesn't have that readily available because most people wouldn't think to ask. I'll have to bother a veterinarian at some point. Because I know a number of people who graduated from like the vet program at UMadison, which is kind of specializes in even-toed ungulates. So, for those who don't know about even-toed ungulates, just because that's a great term, so even-toed as opposed to odd, so it's, is it divisible by 2 or not? And ungulates are hoofed animals, so... even-toed ungulates have just the cloven hooves, so a goat, a sheep, stuff like that, deer. I think deer count as even-toed. I suddenly doubt myself. A horse is an odd-toed ungulate because it's got one freaking toe per leg, which is just disgusting to me. Laugh! The horses just absolutely squig me out. But yeah, so in the world of even-toed ungulates, you have sheep and goats and stuff, and cows, I believe. Horses are creepy. One giant toe, just one huge toe on the end of their leg. It's weird. Am I a Portlandia fan? No, I have not ever actually watched the show. Certainly know of it, but I've never watched it. Do they make references to even an odd-toed ungulates? Ooh, there's grass in its teeth still. Maybe. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but yeah, it just got some old dinner out of those teeth. Oh, gross. There's a lot of it. Well, it's actually green plant matter, so that actually speaks nicely to what this animal, had pasture, I think. It's not just like dull, dried stuff. I am officially a sheep dentist. There's a hilarious sketch of horses being vermin, and it's hilarious. Oh, okay, I might have to look that up. Yeah, no, horses are grody. Not into them. They creep me out. I do not like horses. They are creepy. They got creepy teeth, creepy faces, and creepy weird eyeballs, and horrifying feet. I do not like horses. I know many, many fine people who do like horses, and that's fine, do you? But I do not like horses. I didn't really have horses, like, any problem with horses when I was a kid. Like, I had plastic horses as toys, and we even lived, that's a big satisfying chunko off. Oh, yay! There we go. That's the entire freaking palette chunko. Oh, that's wonderful. Don't back tell me how I really feel. Hey man, it's my stream, I will. Yeah, I never really had problems with horses until I actually saw them up close, and then I was like, what is... Oh, no, wow, ooh. Do not like. The feet. Yeah, no. And like there's I think it's Welsh tradition around Christmas of running around with a horse's head draped in cloth and flowers. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's nightmare fuel right there, because horses' skulls, like, take this weird setup and just make it bigger. Like, blah. Horses are weird. What I'm saying is I do not want a pony for Christmas. These ponies are smaller. But I still sort of like donkeys. I think because they're not, like... they're not some sort of weird ideal of the most beautiful animal. Like, everybody's like, no, donkeys are jerks. I'm like, ah ha ha. Now we're interested. Yeah, no, donkeys I'm a little bit more into. And I love the fact that with donkeys, one of the primitive coat patternings you can get on them is a cross. So they have a line down their back and then a perfect perpendicular line across their shoulders, so it looks like they have a big plus sign on their back, which of course led to various Judeo-Christian iconography, blah blah blah. But I do find that coat really interesting because it looks fake. It looks like someone drew on them. I'm going to go and channel my sister here and say that alpacas, those guys are super cute. I don't know if they're even or odd-toed. I don't know if they have 2 or 3 toes. I'm pretty sure alpacas are still ungulates, but I don't know enough about them. Should look that up. Because, I mean, if we're going to get old and start an alpaca farm together, then I got to figure out about alpacas. So... Because you understand now, I'm in on this dream now. I'm all for alpaca farm. I can do weird alpaca husbandry. Okay, so alpacas are also even-toed ungulates. Okay, cool. I'm a big fan of even-toed ungulates. I think cloven hooves are really cute. Take that as you will, I guess. And I generally have a shine towards the even-toed crew. Odd-toed ungulates are one giant toe. Which is one giant toe. Ugh. No. Weird. Let's go back to our Pleistocene horses that had like a reasonable number of toes. Thank you very much. And they're like, nah, I'm just gonna get real big and not bother with the rest of these toes. I think I'll just drop these other toes. Like, what? Hashtag evolution is weird. So at the tip of this nose, I don't want to, like, rip the end off, you know, but I do want this weird pad off, since I got that really nice... I can't believe how much I like this palette chunk. Very satisfying. Hey, Donkers! Good to know you continue to never sleep. You really are nocturnal. That's hilarious. We've been talking about even-toed ungulates, so, you know. I can catch you up on that conversation if you want. Man. So this is, unsurprisingly, this is the bit of palette that they have instead of upper teeth, so it's real tough. Because sheep don't have front incisors at all, so this is just this rubbery pad, but... Ooh, so for a while you've been living a 28 6 weeks. That was really weird. Like, I'm not sure how to parse that. Because there's 24 hours in the day. Yeah, no, maybe that's a term I don't know. Can you tell me more about 28 versus 28 over 6? So, okay, so a rephrase from 24/7. Oh, okay. So, sleeping 10 hours and then 18 hours awake. Ooh, okay. Yow. Now I see where you're going with that math, and ooh, I will not be joining you. But you said you're not doing that. Or rather, you had been and you're no longer on that absolutely wonky schedule. Ooh. Yeah, you guys can kind of see in there. Okay, yeah, this palette bit is strange and cool. I just have to get more of this off. So, I don't know how well you guys can see. So there's real smooth bone like this, and up here this is actually grainy. Like, if I run my pin along here, you can hear it. So, like, almost nothing. And then I get to this rough bit here. I don't know how much that comes through, but it's a really different texture over here. Oh, so you said it fit you quite well, but you cannot do a regular... Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, like, that sounds like a way to lose touch with everybody else. Where you're always sleeping at odd intervals that no one else is. I mean, I've done stuff like that at really short stints. And I've worked, I think, at least 2 18-hour work shifts, which were a bummer. But yeah, at this point, I've gotten my sleep schedule down pretty tight, where it's like 7.5 hours a night, and it's... Okay, so that lasted for like a month or so. Okay, that's not the worst. I could do something kind of rocking like that for a month, but oof. Not much longer than that, thank you much. I actually did a lot of work to try and get my sleep schedule normalized, because I was having some insomnia issues, and so now I've got I even have the setting on my phone that the screen changes color at 10 o'clock, so it's less likely to screw up my circadian rhythm, because I was in a bad place for a while, but sleep doctors, they exist. And it turns out reading in bed, which I've done my like whole life, is actually kind of super bad. So I stopped doing that. I've got a lot of this loose. So I'm assuming there's a split here, which is part of what's happening. As soon as I start following one direction, I'm like, I'm gonna finish this thing, and then I end up in some other weird area of the skull. It's like a big complicated thingy. Oh, so why is reading in bed bad? It associates bed with trying to stay awake. So reading in bed, as opposed to going to bed to sleep, sets your brain up for, oh, I'm here to do an activity. That's why I'm in bed. Whereas if you're reading in a comfy chair and happen to fall asleep, who cares? It's a chair. You can do whatever you want. But bed, if bed is always, I'm here to go to sleep, or other things, the doctors were always very, they're like, okay, sexy time in bed is a thing, but then also otherwise just go to sleep. So there's basically 2 things they want you to do in bed. And so, yeah, you, reading in bed is associating struggling to stay awake, or at least trying to stay awake and be active in a space where you should be inactive. So it is actually better to read even in a chair sitting next to your bed. You can be in your bedroom, but the moment you are in bed, you're basically conditioning yourself to associate bed with sleeping, and you're gonna fall asleep faster. Reading also has the unfortunate side effect of one more thing. I'll go one more chapter. I'll go one more chapter. So instead of it's bedtime, I'll go to bed. So my sleep doctor actually recommended, if you can't fall asleep, if you go to bed and you're laying there and you're staring at the ceiling, get the hell back out of bed, because then you're associating bed with laying there being frustrated. So, give up after 15 minutes or whatever, go read on the couch, and then once you start to get droopy on the couch, go back to bed. So... yeah, and so reading is good for that. Reading still does get you into it relaxes you, and it gets you into that mode where you're, a lot of people wind down with it. I do. I love reading. But don't do it in the physical bed. You will fall asleep faster and have less instances of insomnia. If this is a problem for you, obviously not everybody has insomnia, so keep in mind, I was treating a specific issue here. But they were adamant about screen time in bed. Looking at your phone or a tablet in bed, especially if the other lights are off and it's glowing, it tells your brain that you're looking out a window at the sun. And so your brain is like, oh, it's daytime outside. And that's another one that'll screw you up. Now, there's settings, there's ways you can widget with your phone where it's going to do that a little bit less, but that'll, like, screw your circadian rhythm. And so looking at your screen for more than a few seconds at a time in bed basically tells your brain, oh, it's apparently daytime, and can mess up your day-night cycle. So, yeah. Weird insomnia stuff. And it worked. Because, I totally would just lay in bed looking at my phone or reading or whatever. Be like, oh, I guess I'm still asleep. I guess I'll read some more or whatever like that. And they're like, no. And I managed to pretty much deal with the insomnia within a month or two. So, I was very impressed, I guess. So, yeah. You read on your library rat. You read on your Kindle in bed with really, really low background light before bed. Again, the sleep doctors would tell you if you're having trouble sleeping, which if you're not, who cares? But if you're having trouble sleeping, doing it in bed is kind of the problem. Donkers, you get that one more at episode 1 when you watch a series in bed. Oh my god, yeah. Go to bed tired and then be like, oh yeah, this'll do, and then just, yeah. So, yeah, setting yourself up for that one more thing, don't do it, guys. It's real bad for you. It's like when you're sleepy, you don't make great decisions. You know? So, I'm going to take a moment and say, I'm not a doctor. Please check with your medical professionals in your life before you actually make any major changes. These are just suggestions, etc., etc., etc. So, not a doctor. Patient. But yeah, no, it made a huge difference. So I literally, when I go to bed, I usually fall asleep within minutes. And I make all those other bad decisions when I'm on the couch. And so I'll be like, oh, I'll read one more chapter. Oh, I'll read one more chapter. Oh, I'll just watch one more episode. And that's where I end up staying up too late. But then when I decide to go to bed, I get my butt off the couch, turn the TV off or whatever, and then go to bed, and then I'm out. So, yeah. But yeah, one more thinging. Or video games. There's some games, especially if they don't have like really obvious breakpoints, where like, oh, I'll just finish this up, and then, well, I gotta do this one more thing, and I'll just take care of this before bed. And then it's like 3 a.m, you're like, oh. Nuts. Like, surprisingly, Animal Crossing, the most chill game in the world, is real bad for one more thing. My spouse has been playing Factorial. Factorial is the worst for one more thing. Like, the worst. So, yeah, there's some out there that are just actual traps. Three a.m. is where you start, and it'll be 7 when you're done. Yeah, no, Donkers, 100%. You're like, I'm tired, but I'm not the right kind of tired. You know, I'll watch this show. It's a trap. I hate that thing where you're not the right kind of tired to go to sleep. You know, like, you're wiped out, you're dumb, you have the dumbs, you're not going to be able to, like, be creative or something like that. You're like, oh, I'll just watch the show, or I'll read this. I'll doom scroll through the internet, and then the sun comes up, and you're kind of bummed out. Also, man, of all of the various turns of phrase that have come out of 2020, huge fan of doom scroll. That's such a useful way to describe that activity. Aw, Donkers. Yeah, no, like, that's the thing. If you want to try and normalize your sleep schedule, I do recommend things like, you know, set yourself limits, or, oh, here's the other thing my sleep doctor had me do, which did really help, is you create effectively a bedtime ritual, because all of this is cognitive behavioral, like, conditioning. It's really great. And so, I'm going to make up numbers, do whatever makes sense for you. But at 10:30, you have a snack. You have a cupcake. Whatever it is. You have a delicious slice of pie, something that you saved up and you planned that's going to be your 10:30 p.m. snack. So you have a snack. while watching an episode of a show. Okay, start building this up. Okay, I'm going to sit my butt down. I'm going to watch one episode of the show while eating my pie. And then after your episode is done, you don't start another one because you've already decided you're not going to, and you brush your teeth. So that's like 3 things. So, okay, progression. And then you go to bed. Or, it could be 10 things, whatever like that. But you actually create like an evening ritual. So not a schedule exactly, not like at 10 o'clock you definitely go to bed. But, let's say starting at this, you have a delicious snack, you call a friend, you do whatever. And by having a progression, it helps you get to sleep because you're anticipating going to sleep. And that's another one where when you get to bed, then your only job is to fall asleep, then your body's like, oh, okay, I know exactly what to do. Now that I am horizontal in this fluffy land, I will then fall asleep. And that was another big one. And let me tell you, snacks were a thing, or still are a thing, really. I've fallen off that wagon a little bit because scheduling in 2020 is bizarre. But, specifically had bedtime snack. Usually not like a whole piece of pie, but pie was involved. And yeah, that stuff, man. Like, being able to go to bed and just fall asleep. Whoo! Night and day, as they say. Donkers, you said you wouldn't want to eat stuff high on carbohydrates before sleeping. It'll keep you awake longer. Oh. But you get the idea. I also know that I've got less trouble falling asleep normal hours when I'm cutting away caffeine. But I just feel so unproductive in the daytime. Okay, that's another one my sleep doctor told me. So I set my schedule where I wanted to be in bed by 11. And so my doctor had me have no caffeine after 4. So that's a 6-hour gap. And that would, hypothetically, gave my body enough time to metabolize any caffeine that I had left. So I had caffeine, in the morning and even at lunch. But then after 4, no caffeine. Okay, so you have a similar setup. Yeah, so that helped. And I haven't had any caffeine except for 2 cups of green tea 2 Tuesdays ago for 3 weeks. I've cold turkey caffeine for a couple reasons, mostly anxiety based. But even decaf has caffeine in it. That's always the trick. They did take a lot of the caffeine out, but there's still some in there. It's a trap. Replace coffee. Oh, sorry, Library Rat. Replace coffee for energy with kombucha. It charges you. You like coffee for the taste, so you do partake sometimes. Well, that's a good idea. I almost never have coffee. Coffee zings me out. Like, boom, bouncing off the walls. Cannot handle coffee. I'm a big tea drinker. But kombucha's technically slightly alcoholic, right? Like, that's interesting that you find it energizing, because I think it's still... hair on my nose. It's like, a depressive in it, I think. But that's another one, too, though, where if it works, that's part of it is you're like, hey, I have this to pop up. And, of course, kombucha has lots of vitamins in it. Okay, so yeah, it does have trace amounts of depressants. Sorry. When you say it's fermented tea, does it actually contain tea from the tea plant? Like, does it have the caffeine in it, too? There's a scientific name I have to look up. Okay, so they do actually have tea. Okay, so you have a little bit of a depressant and definitely some stimulant. And then all the vitamins and probiotics. So, okay, I can see how kombucha would be kind of zingy. Alright. Well, that looks a bajillion times better. Wow. Yeah, getting that giant pallet chunk out of there made a big difference. You also like the taste of the bubbles. That makes sense. Donkers, you said you'd plot your caffeine intake versus time. You'd see a perfect sine wave with 6-month period where the peaks align with the exam schedule. Oh, yes. Definitely. Yeah, oh my god, when I was in college, that's when I was 100% addicted to caffeine. Like, Whew. Yeah, I would get weird on caffeine. Like, chocolate-covered espresso beans could just put you right over into flying through space while you're trying to study for exams. That's, woo. Yeah. Exams make you do really weird stuff. And the worst part is it works. Like, caffeine is a socially acceptable legal drug that everybody totally gets weird on, and everybody's just okay with that. You used tea to get off coffee. That makes sense. I knew somebody once who used to be a meth addict. And methamphetamines are a major upper. And so to get off of meth, he converted to all of the coffee in the world. And it was just crazy to watch this guy drink coffee because he was replacing meth. P.S. Don't do meth. It's like super bad for you. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. But yeah, that guy, whoo, coffee hardly hit him. Okay, so you said, yeah, sugar. There's another one. Sugar is like, sugar will mess you up. State altering, addictive, damages your body. Yeah, there's a bunch of these things that people absolutely abuse, but are kind of socially acceptable. And you just gotta make your own good choices. Just like any mind-altering substance, whatever your country or state of choice considers legal, kind of doesn't matter. Just kind of know what it does to you guys. How is this affecting my brain? Do I care about the long-term consequence of this thing? Yeah. Sugar's such a bummer, I gotta say. Like, I really want sugar to not be a problem, and it really is. It's like, man, I love sugar. But that will screw you up big time. Man. I got a bunch of the sinus loose on the inside, but it's like the sinus, it goes all the way up through here, so I'm like, this whole thing is just empty on the inside. And I'm not sure how I can get... Ooh, that's an interesting noise. Oh, I got a little tiny booger out. Not really what I was hoping for. Oh well. I don't really want to damage the sinus bones because I think they're kind of cool, but yeah, I should probably not screw with that too much. I think that'll just cause damage. Alright, well that looks a trillion times better. Yeah, Donkers. If you're off alcohol for good, then even kombucha, yeah, just don't even touch it. Better to just stick to caffeine. Yeah, alcohol is another one that I've been off of for a couple weeks because I really work hard to make sure that I don't associate alcohol with despair. You know, it shouldn't be something that it's supposed to make me feel better. And so, like, I've been having a really bad couple of weeks, and nope. Last thing I need is to make that worse with any sort of alcohol. So, I think I actually need to clean up all of this. It's kind of big and slimy, and I can no longer get, like, new grows to stick to it because it's, it's so saturated with awfulness. So let's get a nice, fresh landing zone for Shmoo. Alright. You know, oh, that reminds me. I have a tool here I wanted to bring out just for this. Oh, not here. Alcohol is like cake. Use it to celebrate and don't have it alone. There. Fabulous. Yeah, that's a great way to say it. You know? Donkers, you just had cake, not even feeling guilty. And I you know, with it, moderation in all things, including moderation. But that's a good one. Like, you should avoid... Keep special things special, basically. This is a good one. But so, okay, so this device, this little guy, right? It's got a nice curve, and then it's antique. So it's got this series of numbers stamped on it, and this is like the most satisfying grip ever. I got this from a volunteer of mine when she went off to college. She got me a bunch of presents, and it was really sweet. And this is one of them that she found in an antique store, and the owner of the antique shop said that it was for something that had to do with dissecting human cadavers, and they didn't really know what else, and so she got it for me. And, like, boom, brains. I've been rounds with a couple people. The numbers apparently indicate, like, catheter width, so it might have something to do with that. But I think it's just like a hook that's meant to, like, pull tissue aside. And so, let me see if I can dig some brains out with it. Oh, there's a good... come on. Chunk of brain. There we go. Blap. Oh, there's a good chunk of brain. That's the one I've been seeing. I could tell... I could tell I had a dangly bit of brain in there that I couldn't quite knock out with my other tools. And I'd forgotten I have the, like... Oh, there's a good one. Yay! Oh, Elizabeth, wherever you are in the world, I hope you're feeling good vibes right now, because this thing you got me is so wonderful. Elizabeth was great. She was a high school student, so she had a very weird schedule, but her high school let her come and volunteer in the afternoons on Fridays as, like, a special thing. Oh, yeah, no, it's so gross. Pile of brains. And, I gave her the weirdest projects. I loved giving high school students the specifically weird stuff. And, it's funny, they generally really enjoyed it and appreciated it. So, I gave her a lot of rotten birds. And weird bone projects and stuff. Library rat, yes, this is the thing with the weird thumb grip. It's so satisfying to use, and I'm getting just piles of brains out. Ah! Black. Kind of mostly scrambled the rest that's in there. You really can't see what's in there, but it's less brain. Oh, I'm so satisfied with this. Delightful. And I can hear chunks. Ooh, wait. Ooh, is that a good one? Come on. Come on. Yeah, it's a decent-sized piece. Brains are so disappointing. Also, like, okay, anybody who's ever heard of canopic jars in Egypt, they always talk about pulling the brain out of the nose. And I swear to God, in my mind, whenever someone would explain that to me, I'd imagine, like, that magician's trick where they're pulling all of the little colored flags out of their mouth. Like, it would just, like, unravel your brain and come out in, like, a big continuous piece. No. No, it does not. So those ancient Egyptian people who were preserving pharaoh heads and pulling their brains out of their nose, I'm imagining that's what that would have come out like. So there's your bit of culture. Ooh, we're cultural. I have no idea. Yeah. Blap. That's a big old pile of brain. It's so satisfying. I haven't got the occipital condyle totally cleaned out yet, too. There's a lot of... Here, let's see if we can get this whole area to look a little nicer. This whole back end of the head. But yeah, it is interesting when you have these things explained to you as kids that you don't know what they're talking about. I like brains. I didn't know what brains were like, particularly all that. And so yeah, people telling me about Egyptology and pulling brains out of noses. I'm like, oh, okay, I will just come up with something that I think that looks like. And no, totally wrong. So I've never seen a human brain pulled out. So maybe our brains are stringier, but I kind of doubt it. You could talk to a med student who was actually mucked about with brains. I do have a friend who was in a neurology program for a little while. He dealt with mostly rat brains. Actually, he mostly dealt with rat retinas. He was in a very specific group. Which he hated and then quit, and now he's teaching, I think, like, grade school science in Japan. So, you know. Sometimes you just have a few too many rat retinas. Although, epilogue to that story, he seems very happy being a science teacher in Japan, so, like, cool. Okay, so I've kind of dug out, so this little center bit is clean and all the rest of this is schmutz, and I have to figure that out. Alright. Library Rat says, it turns out that the human brain is very fragile, has the consistency of somewhat like Jell-O, soft and squishy, blah blah blah. Without preservation and chemical hardening, you can't pick a brain up. The average adult brain weighs just under 3 pounds, 1.3 to 1.4 kilograms. Some neurosurgeons describe the texture of a living brain as that of toothpaste. But according to neurosurgeon Katrine Furlick, a better analogy would be found in the local health food store. The brain doesn't spread like toothpaste. Okay, so there it is. This is your brain on a paper towel. Blap, blap, blap. It's just snot. Your brain is mostly fat and salt. Sorry. But, you know, it's a beautiful, useful bit of fat salt doing a lot of really cool stuff. So, Library Rat, again, thank you for your continued wonderful ability of researching crap on the internet. And a Slate article, no less. That's really fun. Well, Slate and Living Science. Yeah, because that's what I was imagining. Like, any brains I've come across, yeah, I could, but like a silky tofu, probably. Not the really dense stuff. Yeah, because I could see parts of this being similar to silky tofu. And of course, it's not a living brain, so it's a brain that's been freezed and thawed, and I've added water, so it's gonna be an extra bad condition. But even the pretty fresh brains that I've seen, they're made of snot. Which is why concussions are a big deal. Wear your bike helmet. Wear your seatbelt. Concussions are a big deal. Because scrambling your brain doesn't take any effort at all. And concussions are just the saddest looking things. Like, when you have birds that died of concussions, it's just this big massive red area, and you're just like, oh, buddy, well, that's not subtle. Guess we know what got you. Physics got you. Damn that Newton guy. Oh, completely. Yeah, like, brains are weird. I am not a neuroscientist, but there's my professional opinion. Brains are weird. Yeah, there's people come up with various visualizations of this, but the fact that a human being is basically a bowl of jello driving a skeleton in a bag of seawater. That one's pretty funny. I do like the fact that we're basically walking oceans, though. That one makes me happy. Since everything evolved in the ocean, you basically created, like, a lot of our systems are just to be able to hold ocean and take it with us. Which is why one of the ways you rehydrate someone with a saline drip. Put a little ocean back in there. Well, just the whole composition of a body is weird. Like, here I am working on a sheep. Like, I wonder how much of a sheep's weight is bacteria that doesn't share its DNA compared to us. Because, like, what, like, a third of a human's weight is not their own genetic material, it's bacteria? Or something like that. I don't remember those numbers. But I'd imagine for any sort of ruminant that, like, chews cud has to, you know, chew it, digest it for a while, chew it again, digest it for a while, and eventually digest it all the way. Like, how much of their body weight is just other organisms that help eat their food? Because eating grass is hard. Like, you have to be pretty advanced to eat grass. Good job, sheep. That took a lot of evolutionary effort to figure out how to turn that awful cellulose into actual, like, energy. But it's worth it when there's fields and fields of it. So, you know, good job, ancient sheep of the fast. Oh, and anybody who didn't catch this when I was researching cool sheep facts, there are sheep in the world today that don't have wool, and that makes me happy. Oh, the eucalyptus guys. Koalas? Yeah. There's another one. Like, eucalyptus is a useless plant. There's basically no nutrition in those leaves, and those koalas are committed to figuring out how to turn that into more koala. Or pandas. Eucalyptus is a gorgeous plant, yeah. But I'm glad I don't have to eat it. I had a couple branches of eucalyptus hanging in my shower for a while. That was real nice. Nice fresh eucalyptus, so every time you took a shower, it heated up and kind of steamed up. That was cool. Hashtag I miss farmers markets. Yeah. Because there was this great herb stand that would do eucalyptus along with all the rest of their herbs. This stuff was the jam. Whew. This occipital is a bit pain in the butt. Like, so the bone back here is really textured. This is going really slow. How do I know when I'm ready for the stink bucket? Honestly, I could probably do it at any time. What I'm trying to get are big jubbly bits off. You know, I really wanted that palate off, and I'm really happy about that. So I could do it at any time. It's just, the more tissue's on it before I put it in the fluid, the more tissue has to come off of it while it's in the fluid. So it has to come off at some point. And my plan for the end of this stream is actually to dump to put this in a container and dump a whole bunch of hydrogen peroxide on it so we could all watch it fizz and go, ooh. So get excited. That's my plan for about a half an hour from now. And at that point, I'm going to be done. I'm just not going to keep picking at this. Yeah, so... No, Library Rat, I'm glad you're excited. It's going to be... There will be fizzing. It'll be exciting. Yeah, so I forget if I told you guys on this particular stream. I've been streaming a lot lately. It's a bit fuzzy. Apparently soaking bones in hydrogen peroxide is simply referred to as oxidization. And that's... So I didn't know that the thing I'd been doing for literally years had a name and people knew about it. And I was like, oh, sweet. Okay, cool. Like, it's just something I sort of hacked together from what worked. Yay, reinventing the wheel, I guess. But... I mean, I knew that hydrogen peroxide worked from looking at other people's research. I hadn't realized it had a cute name. So, oxidization. So that's the main thing I'm going to do with this guy is actually soak it mostly in hydrogen peroxide. Chardon Mom, I'm glad you like talking about horse tones, brains, sleep issues, and sheep facts. So, yeah, so Donker's making it to rust. Like, oxidization is just, like, oxygen acting upon something, so you can also oxidize an apple. You know, when you cut it in half and leave it on the countertop, it turns to brown. That's oxidization. So, I think what that actually means is, and this is me going on a limb, so feel free to double check me. I think for organic compounds, it has to do with oxygen molecules leaving an organic compound. I think when they're picked up by other things in the atmosphere. No, but oxidation seems like it would add oxygen. I don't know. Well, Donkers is a good one. You got me thinking about it. What? We can name the sheep Rusty. You know, it's something I never really got into in the lab is I don't generally name my specimens. A lot of people do. But... Aw, Chardon Mom, thank you. Appreciate your cheer. Also the adorable unicorn. And I knew you'd figure that out. Bits are fun. They're silly. For anybody who hasn't tried bits yet, shameless plug, I recommend them. They're funny. And then you get access to things like that absolutely adorable animated emote. So, can't really go wrong there. Oh, I really want to get around this ear. So, like, there's the ear. Boom. Oh, it's a horse with a horn! Ah, Chardon Mom. Oh, Library Rat. So, reduction is loss of oxygen, so oxidization would be addition of oxygen? How many toes do unicorns have? I'm going to go out on a limb and say 4. 4 per foot. At least. And a dew claw. Okay, so in terms of actual, like, European heraldry, unicorns are actually, even-toed ungulates. They have cloven hooves. So there's, if you're, oh, hey, Dino! So yeah, unicorns in heraldry are actually two-toed ungulates. They don't have horse feet, so they're already superior to horses, as well as having a magical horn and all that other garbage that they're supposed to have. So, yeah, in Chinese heraldry, if you're counting Kirin as unicorns, I think they have, like, lion's feet. So, yeah, so depending on whose unicorn myth you're going with or whatever, I don't know of any ancient unicorns that have just one toe per foot, the way that a horse does. So, yeah, I actually had an answer to that. There you go. Okay, so to oxidize means to combine with oxygen. Okay, so Ah. Okay, I have to take a glove off and scratch my nose. There is a hair just destroying my face. And my hands look pretty clean, but let's do this. Is it? Aha, I got it. Oh. Cats! What a bad idea. Ah. Alright, fresh gloves. Ugh. And a stretch. Ugh. Okay. Oh, it feels so much better to have that off my eye. I think I've been, like, blinking this cat hair between my upper and lower eyelids, like, for the past 2 hours, and it's killing me. Oh, yeah, reusable masks and animal fur are the frustration. Like, I always check the inside of my mask before I put it on after it goes through the laundry. Because it's rough. Or, like, inevitably, if I get in the car and I have my mask on, I'll, like, breathe out and a cat hair comes popping up right into my eye. So I have something that's, like, right across... Oh, yeah, no. Animal hair and reusable masks. Just because fogging your glasses wasn't bad enough. I have been seeing more and more advertisements for, like, fog-resistant spray you can put on your glasses, which I might have to do. Especially as the weather gets colder, and I'm sure my glasses are going to fog up like, whoa. So, it was bad enough in March. Doing it for an entire winter and fall doesn't sound like any fun at all. Oh, which piece was I on? I think it was over here. Yeah. Alright. So I want to try and get around this ear before the big hydrogen peroxide plunge. Oh, the tissue on the back of the head is so tightly bound on. It's as if there's a big muscular neck back here. What a pain in the butt. Let's see. Oh, so you boil them. Okay, so Donkers, that's interesting. So you boil it instead of going through the regular laundry to, like, kill the bacteria. I'd have to imagine that'd be really hard on the fabric, though. But if you're using cotton, it can probably stand up to pretty high temps. I mean, but cooking. I see the translation error, but also I think that's a valid one. Yeah, when I was first, like, way back in March, April, I was looking at should I be boiling my masks and things. Dino, so is the tool you're using meant for taxidermy? Yes. So this is just a single steel rod with this wonderful rounded tapered tip. So I've got two different. Oh, there's a lot of brains there. Hold on. Where's my other guy? I have another one. I love these probes. They're so great. Here's my other one with the protective tip on that just has a little bit of a curve. But yeah. And they're not, I mean, it's taxidermy, but it's just tissue use in general, is having these probes is really handy. And it's so strong, having the tapered point as opposed to, like, just a thin needle is just the best. But yeah, Dino, I actually just got, like, a prep kit off of Amazon, and this was in there, and I fell in love. It's better than, like, anything else in that kit. And Donkers, you said it's typical for Germans since boiling and cooking translate to the same word. Ah. And it sounds more like cooking. Yeah, like, I mean, and we have a lot of different terms for applying heat to water. So, like, I don't know if you're familiar with it. You can simmer it, the water, versus boil it, and things like that. You know, like, there's a lot of weirdly specific stuff. And then even with boil, you can add a lot of descriptors. Is it a rolling boil or a light boil? Alright, can I get a grip on this? These, of course, did not come with the Amazon kit. These were a gift from Library Rat. And they're great, and I've used them for years. Ooh, what was that? I squeezed part of the skull and it felt like it depressed a little bit, which I do not want. I've loosened this tissue bit, but it's not... Well... a little bit better. Oh, the tissue on the back of the head is on so firmly. Yeah, like, you guys can see all of this, like, blah, this moosh. I would love to get all this moosh out of here, but I don't think I'm going to pull it off. Because it's really deeply embedded. Well, that's a big chunk of actual just muscle. Go away. You are done. Your sheep days are over. I hope they were nice. Okay. So, Donkers, you said... okay, so in boil and simmer, there's just variations that make sense. And then Library, you said, if you tried pulling it using a scalpel along the bone. Sort of. I'm always a little leery to use scalpels too close to bone, both because I don't want to actually cut through the bone. I also don't want to get the scalpel... I don't want to ever pry or twist a scalpel, and... anytime I get close to bone, I kind of shy away from using them because I'm more likely to do a dumb thing like that. I do have my cartilage knife here, which I've used a little bit for this sort of thing. But then if you're cutting it away like that, you're still leaving potentially a little bit behind. Whereas I can just pull the whole thing, I can get all of that tissue off. So pros and cons. That's not a bad idea. But I usually... Basically, the long story short, I usually use scissors. There it is. Isn't light boil the same as simmering? That depends on who you ask. I think so. I've had other people correct me. So some chefs they got needs. They got opinions on if something. What I've heard is that a light boil is more than a simmer. But yeah. Okay, so there's a little, like, corner of bone here I'd like to get out of here. If I can get this around this, basically around the edge. Because you can see I've got this nice flat plane. That's all clean. But... you know what? Library Rat, since we were just talking about cutting some of this stuff away, I'm going to do that. What a good idea. Let's just pick up what you're putting down here. Let's get this stuff out of here. Yeah, so if I thin out this landscape, this might just, like, make more sense. Okay. Little resistance in there. I'm trying to do this in a way that you guys have any hope of getting to see it, which means I'm doing crazy, like, angles, but... So if anybody's actually watching, this is for you. If you're not actually watching, that's cool. Many people don't. think that did actually clear up some of the really confusing mushy areas. Yeah, that got a good meatball off of there. Whew! Hold my neck at a really weird angle though. Yeah, so that's tidier. Not tidy exactly, but tidier. Oh yeah, that's way better. That's way better. Woo! Oh, I cannot believe how tightly adhered this tissue is. You know, honestly, part of this is probably really on here because of all the muscles and cartilage to be able to rotate the ears and stuff. Yeah, the teeth are actually pretty nasty. I was picking, I guess see if I, oh, there's a little more. Check this out. There's just like a blob of grass. So that right there is Sheepity last meal. So yeah, those chompers are grody. Oh, that had a lot in it. Mmm. And they're sharp. It's so funny how sharp these are because they have to be able to cut through really rough grass. Are they rotten? No, I don't think so. They're worn. There's a lot of wear and tear on them. But there's nothing that makes me think they're rotten. There's no smell. They're not crumbly. So I think they're stained is the way I would describe that. Because the gums look really healthy too. So like if there was any dental disease, I think that would have been really evident in the gums. And no, I think it was pretty healthy sheep. No. And actually, I bet that the grocery store wouldn't have sold one with bad teeth because people are boiling the whole head, so you wouldn't want like a big abscess or something in there. I'm imagining that's not delicious, but I guess I don't know. But yeah, it is interesting how sharp they are, and there's some that are much more grindy. They're flatter, but a lot of them still have like that cutting edge. So as they're like grinding back and forth, it's also like doing miniature slices. Library Red, if I decide if I'm going to do rhinestones in this one, yes. If I can degrease it, I am still planning on crusting this in rhinestones. Putting the rhinestones all over the mouse skull was remarkably satisfying, and doing it on a larger scale critter, I have to imagine would be a treat. So Donkers, rhinestones is a term for little jewels, usually made of glass or plastic that you can put all over clothing, or things. So they're not actually precious stones, they're just imitation, but they're little faceted shiny things. You know, people put them on all dresses and fancy outfits. So you might know the word sequins. Sequins are different, but they're the same idea. And I believe rhinestones does come from being named after the Rhine River. I think they were first popularized by a town along the Rhine, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So yeah, they're not stones from the River Rhine. They're they're glass. But oh, don't be embarrassed. Dude, the fact that you already are speaking 2 languages, it puts you miles ahead of me, so please, no, don't ever feel bad not knowing an exact word. I will happily help you out. Because, yeah. The thing basically runs next door. Yeah, I'd imagine. That's what I thought you were thinking, is with the Rhine. But I think I think the inventor of rhinestones, or like the first town that used them, was somewhere along the Rhine. So. But hey, I'm American, so maybe for all I know, the River Rhine is absolutely full of glittering gems. And all the bridges are made of gold. Oh, there's an interesting thing. Yeah, speaking multiple languages is one of those things, like, I tried. I really tried to learn French. That did not go well. And being in Chicago, I've picked up an okay amount of Spanish. Like, an okay amount of Spanish. And, like, 3 words of Polish. You know? From anime, I've picked up, like, 5 words of Japanese. It's pretty bad. Alright, Library Rat, what do we got? Joseph Stresser would be credited as the precursor of our present-day rhinestone, but is really what George Frederick Strauss in 1760 invented the first ever rhinestone, artificial gemstone, from a type of crystal found in the Rhine River. Ah, that the stones we know of today were born. Okay, so they are actually rocks that come out of the Rhine, originally. Now they're plastic, but... See, rhinestones, pretty cool. Yeah, but I mean, that just happens. I still like the fact that Joseph Crapper invented the toilet, so, you know, roll with it. Look it up, man. Sometimes things line up. Human naming conventions. What a world. Yeah, honestly, Library Rat, I really appreciate having you, like, scurry off, because I'm imagining you in rat form for this in a library. Scurrying off and getting, the information that we're mentioning here. Because I appreciate being checked. I'm often wrong. Or not often, but I can be wrong. It's known to happen. So... Oh, Yankee terminology. Yes. Well, and of course, being American, most Americans have never even heard of the Rhine. They're like, I'm assuming there's rivers. Whatever. And you're like, no, it's a really important river. But, yeah. Americans are kind of famously bad at geography. But I mean, to our credit, trying to just figure out our own massive nation is hard. It's, like, real big, and there's a lot to figure out. So you fill up your brain with American facts. Sometimes you miss the other ones. So, Donkers, what would be your word for artificial gemstones? Oh, this stuff is not moving. Oh well. I've trimmed a lot of it. Okay. So, it actually is, over the years, it held a lot of anniversary. Oh. Okay, so it's basically like a fake diamond. Yeah, so the Rhine is good for... Crossing the Rhine is a big deal. If you cross the Rhine, that's like a notable event if it's a military action. Yeah, totally. The Rhine and the Danube. Because, like, Napoleon crossed the Rhine and everybody cared. You know. Good old Napoleon. Crossing rivers. Pissing everybody off. is this giant blob? Alright. So there's a giant blob. Okay, I'm walking away from this. This is clean enough. I'm letting that go. I think I'm letting this go. Well... Yeah, I'm letting that go. There's this thing here I gotta try and figure out. So I was reading up about the franchise of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, and you know that is a number of different TV shows and movies, video games, things like that. And I watched one of the TV shows as a kid. I've played a bunch of the video games. Carmen Sandiego was great. And apparently they created the Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego game show that I watched as a kid because they had done some sort of survey and discovered that like 80% of Americans could not tell you where the Pacific Ocean was. And they were like, ooh! And so they they made a game show to try and encourage geography. Okay, so Donkers, you said that Strauss is a trademark name because that's where rhinestones originated from. Oh, that makes sense. So it's named after the inventor, so they'd be like Strauss stones. Or just Strauss. That's cool. Yankee terminology. But yeah, I worry for the fact that people couldn't find the Pacific Ocean. Or at the time, this was the 1980s, they couldn't find the USSR, which I think was one of the other things that really concerned people. So they funded the Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego PBS game show so that people could learn geography. Which, you know, is a way to solve a problem. Rad. Cool. And I definitely did a lot of geography games and stuff as a kid, so I guess it worked. I'm not amazing, but I think I have an okay... I know where the Pacific Ocean is. Oh, fighting words. The USSR is just whatever wasn't American. No, it was a thing. It was an actual thing. And then it went away, and everybody was a little bit surprised. That is my world history. I'm actually reading a book right now based during the Cold War. It's in the 1960s, and it's really interesting to have this writer's point of view from that era talking, like, a lot of it takes place in Albania, so that's been kind of interesting. But modern Albania actually kind of sounds really nice, but okay, that I got a ton out of there. Like, look at that big opening. Yay! There's a bunch of fatty schmoo. I don't know what all of this is. Kind of wish I did. It's really cool and gross. Oh yeah, there's that thing. Ooh, that was a big chunko. I just got basically everything from inside this little cup. I do use OBS, yeah. So OBS is my main streaming software. It's been pretty good. Why do you ask? Anything specific? A lot of that. Ugh. Oh yeah, no, do a stream. I'm like I've become so evangelical about everybody should try streaming, but yeah, it's nice to be able to talk to people, you know. So obviously I can't hear you guys, but it's making me do a lot more projects than I would if I was just sitting at home alone with no outside influence, you know. And yeah, What do you think, Donkers, if you were going to stream, what do you think you would be, what sort of stuff would you stream? Because Library Rat, again, just started doing art, so make note. Her first stream was today. Ooh, there's a cool layer of something gross. Ha ha ha! That's coming right out of there. Okay, yeah, electronics and software, there's a lot of followers for that. Yeah, and I've really been finding that, like, during the day especially, I like just having streams on. I like hearing people talking. It just makes me feel less lonely. I learn stuff. You know, lots of benefits. I usually don't really sit and watch, especially if it's not, like, a topic that I'm already super into. But I like to just get some of it. And then, you know, if I get more into it, then I can ask that person a question because they're live and they're humans. And that's real cool. Alright, that actually opened up a lot, so I got a lot of the schmutz out of there. Okay, so I'm not going to get any of that out, but that's okay. I actually don't mind not having this complete, because I kind of want to see... Oh, there's a pretty good angle you guys can see. So, this side is still full of gross. This side is really, really open. I managed to get a lot of the stuff out of there. So when I soak it, I'm going to be able to tell if there's a difference. You know, did I really need to do all that work? Did it all just fall out when I do this? You know, maybe I've just wasted hours and hours. I didn't. I like hanging out with you guys. But okay, so these are trash. Oh, that's not going back in there. So I can... Alright. Okay, so I have my skull. So here's what we're gonna do for the final fun send-off here. I have this bin, which that rests in pretty well. And so I've got my, what do you call it? Hyoid process that I got out before. I've got the really lovely jawbone that I got out before. Those are already even kind of dryish. And then I've got this guy. And so now it's time to just dump so much hydrogen peroxide on this. I think that's an okay view. You can see some of the exposed bone at the top, but then you'll also be able to see it through there. So, let's play with chemicals. Okay, so this is the open one I have. And then... more of these guys. Boop. Yes, I have incredibly long hair. And because of COVID, it's just getting longer. Okay. So, for anybody who has not seen the chemical reaction when you put hydrogen peroxide on dead tissue, it's pretty great, so I'll tilt this up a little bit. So right now you can see plenty of pink kind of areas along with the whitish bone. And this will just make it fizz like crazy. And it'll start to eat away at the pink. Wow, that just disappeared. This is going to take a lot. It's a good thing I bought a whole thing. Does it smell? No. The hydrogen peroxide is odorless, and this guy still smells a little meaty, but the smell has actually been reducing as I've been removing tissue. Oh, the brain made a weird noise. Blarp. Ooh, I can hear it. Let me move my microphone a little closer. And then this is a great chemical reaction to have in my house because it releases pure oxygen. So I'm going to be okay by standing over this. Ooh. Okay, let me see if I can just move the camera. Can you guys see the brain bubbling out of there? Oh, that's so gross. Oh, that's so good. Hydrogen peroxide, man. Let's put some more on there. Blurp. Oh, that's so icky. Can I get on my own light? There we go, a little bit. Yeah, so that's gross. Let's just keep adding. Blah. All right. Donker, so you're saying, shouldn't I be wearing gloves or something while I'm handling it, since it'll just as gladly eat my tissue away? Fantastic question. Thank you for caring about my well-being. This is 3% hydrogen peroxide that you can just buy at a pharmacy, and you can put this on human tissue. And my intact living skin is tough enough that if I poured some on my hand, it would kind of kill the top layer of my skin, but I'd be fine. So if you have a skinned knee, like if you were riding your bike and you wipe out on pavement and you have that big rash, you can pour it on there and it kills all the bacteria and the top layer of skin, but then all the, it'll help disinfect. So, yeah, no, it's, at 3%, our body can resist it pretty well. I did once give myself a pretty rad burn with hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide is probably my most recent significant chemical burn. Have I had more than one chemical burn? Yes, I have. But yeah, so hydrogen peroxide, I have burned myself with it, but I did it by leaving my arms sitting in hydrogen peroxide. So I was working on something and there was hydrogen peroxide on the table. So my arms were just sitting in the hydrogen peroxide for about an hour. And so when I lifted my arms up, I realized they were wet and I went to wipe it off. And all the skin on my arm had turned dead white and kind of fluffed off. So I have burned myself with hydrogen peroxide, but it wasn't a big deal. I think I need one more bottle of hydrogen peroxide. But, yeah, so good question. But at 3%, yeah, I survived it. I felt stupid. That was a stupid thing to do. So everybody don't do that. It's real bad, but I was okay. Let's pour more into that brain. So that's fizzing so delightfully. Into those sinuses. Ooh, there's definitely brain chunks floating around. Oh, wonderful. Get that out of there. Blurp. All right. That is exciting. That is wonderful. That is just great. Oh, there's cat hair in there. Not that that matters. Off topic. Is the mace on your wall? Okay, yeah, so, sure, while this is bubbling, let's play with the stuff on my wall. So, Dino, to answer your question, this is a boffer mace for live-action role-playing. So this is actually painted, beautifully painted and wrapped foam over a thin fiberglass core, and it's just wonderful. I don't LARP much anymore. I did a lot in my study abroad in England, and this was a going-away present from my friends. So we usually use just, like, PVC pipe wrapped in crap and, like, really, really rough stuff. But this absolutely beautiful piece was a going-away present from my friends. So I've actually hit very few people with this because it is precious to me. So, good question. Chardon Mom, you said, did they question me when I bought all those bottles? No, I just got it off of Amazon. Amazon don't care. So I thought that was pretty funny. Part of the reason is this is 3% hydrogen peroxide. And so this is the antiseptic version. So if you were stocking a clinic, things like that, you would get a pallet. So that wasn't a big problem. Um, you have swung many a padded sword back in the day. Were they PVC core, or were they fiberglass core? Because I found out that there's different things of thought. So this is fiberglass. A lot of people won't use fiberglass because if you stab a dude, it'll shatter. But of course, PVC is huge and bulky, and you can't get like a really elegant weapon like this. So, oh my god! Which means when I was LARPing, I had been taking fencing classes, and I had to get all of that fencing stuff out of my mind because you can't stab somebody with a fiberglass core. You could actually kill them. So I always had to be wacky. But oh, plain wood, gracious, how barbaric! All right, I'm gonna hang this guy back up. Yeah. The dagger is an actual dagger. That's a pointy metal implement. But okay. Where is I'm gonna put a glove back on since I was using this tool. All my hands were gross. But do you guys know Jugger or Yugger? No. What is that? Dear Donkers. Oh, this is so satisfying. Oh, it's so satisfying. It's like horrible soup. The brain is still really fizzing. Let me bring the camera over. A game revolving around similar weapons. I haven't heard the term, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's similar. Oh, there's all you people. All right, so. Oh, it's just going so good. Yeah, so the hydrogen peroxide is real effective on muscle and oxygen-laden bloody tissue. It's not so good against skin. Which is why I tried to get so much off of it. You know, but... Oh, look how just... I don't know how if you guys can really see the color change, but it's so white. Like, it's already really penetrating. Oh, totally satisfying. Oh, there's a lot of weird shmoo. Oh, that hyoid looks good. Look at that guy. Oh, wow. Yeah, what a difference. Okay, so, in my question of should I have picked everything off ahead of time or not, it's fluffing. It's becoming really fluffy, so I think I could have left more on. But I'm going to have to change the hydrogen peroxide probably tomorrow because it's just thick with fat and other gross stuff. Alright, Donkers, you said imagine rugby being played in a medieval setting without armor but padded weapons and post-apocalyptic fantasy stuff. Okay, yeah, that's effectively what we're saying. So, same idea. So we call it live-action role-playing. And the settings can change. It's not necessarily... You know, it could be vampires in the modern city. It could be, you know, mace-wielding warriors of the days of yore, whatever. Fairies. But yeah, it's padded weapons. You run around smacking the crap out of your best friends. And it's great. And being very serious, except when you're not. Oh, there's no role-playing. Oh. Huh. Okay, so Donkers, I was going in a wrong direction. Medieval setting, padded weapons, post-apocalyptic fantasy stuff. I'm gonna have to look that up. That sounds really cool. Can we see a brain chunk? Okay, yeah, so like, these guys. Boom, brain chunk. There's a good, boom, right there. So these like, thicker white chunkos are, there's a bunch over here, kind of stuck to the side of the jaw. Knock those loose. But yeah, all of these swirly white bits. More of a sport. Huh. No, I haven't heard of that. That sounds fun. And potentially quite, dangerous. But... Man. And can you guys hear the fizzing? Okay, you can? Yay. I'm so glad. So yeah, apparently I do need like a stink bucket cam. I could just leave this on all night and everybody could watch the bubbles and fizzing. I'm not going to do that. But maybe I should. Maybe that could be a stretch goal. I can have some sort of holiday fundraiser. People can donate the equipment so I can have a stink bucket cam. Just listen to the soothing bubbles and watch the bones degrease. Ooh, can you guys see the blood coming out? There's this little, right here, there's like a little fountain of blood. So there's an area that I must not have particularly cleaned out that's really, ooh, oh, gross. That's gross and cool. I keep saying this, but I've never done this with such a big skull, and it's so different than little tiny mouse skulls or squirrel skulls. Lordy. Oh yeah, the hyoid looks great. How's this looking? Okay, so here's what I'm kind of worried about. So you can sort of see all the color up by my tool here of the jaw, because the bone here is really strong and thick. And so I'm wondering, like, how much that's going to take for that to actually soak correctly. I mean, we're going to find out. I'm assuming multiple days. Like, it's the chemical's just going to have to get in there, and I'm going to have to do a bunch of hydrogen peroxide changes. I think I'm going to empty that case. Wow, it's so gross. Ah. And now you guys can see my ancient little Logitech. I will watch that YouTube video when I'm offline, but thank you, because you have my curiosity. I definitely want to see that. Can I knock anything loose from inside the head? It's like blah, 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 blah. A little bit. Oh yeah, that got a big fresh fizz out of that. Okay, for some reason I find it actually amusing that you guys can see my little handheld camera here. It's just the worst little camera, but it's doing what I need it to do. Alright, well, this is literally just going to get to sit overnight and continue to do this. This is hours of bubbling, so the stink bucketry has begun. This shouldn't smell too bad because I'm using hydrogen peroxide. So the hydrogen peroxide is going to kill off the... Oh, wow, look at that big chunk that just came out. Well, that was gross. Wow, that's real gross. Wow, that's real gross. Yeah, I'll post an update on the Discord. Oh my god, I gotta finish launching that Discord. Donkers, I'll try to get you a link to that too. I've been trying to start a Discord and I've just been a real butt about it. Discord is like a forum, so you can set up your own forum and share information. So you can have a chat going offline. People can share pictures, things like that. So it's a nice additional thing. It's outside of Twitch, but it's a way for people who are like on a channel or interested in the same topic to talk. Oh, you're just wondering where the link was. Gotcha. Yeah. No, see that's you knowing more about how to use this on Twitch than me. I haven't set it up yet. So I created it. Yeah, Library Rat, if you want to post a link. And I've just been a butt about actually doing anything about it. So it's been a weird couple of weeks in the US, okay? I'm working on it. It's been weird. Things are better now. We have answers. All right. Man, that's so gross. La 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 la. Ooh, the bone already sounds different. That's good. Alright, Shard Mom, we're done. At this point, it's just going to be me going, for a couple more minutes. But thanks for hanging out. Yeah, so now you guys can see my entire little bucket here. So there's the lower jaw, lots of brains in the way. Oh man, just so many brain chunks. And this big guy. Donkers, don't even joke about it. Well, the U.S. election is going to be its own thing, but the inauguration is in January, one way or the other. So there you go. All right. Oh yeah, now there's pink brains coming out. Oh, it's so good. Go away. No one wants your brains in there. Wow. I might need one more bottle of hydrogen peroxide. Because that obviously is really reacting. Tell you what, I won't do another bottle of hydrogen peroxide right now. Once I get this all set up, because I have to pick this up and put it out into my onto my landing, my shared landing that my neighbors can hypothetically see, because I have to keep it away from my cats. So I'm not going to add more hydrogen peroxide now because I don't want it to slosh, but I'll do it when it's out there. But oh yeah, that's working. Oh, that's a really big chunk of brain. There, like that's a chunker. So gross. So good. So nasty. Go away. Sheep brain. Man. Oh, yeah, this has just divulged into me just poking at this thing, but it's so satisfying. Well, I can tell you right off the bat, yeah, I probably should have stopped sooner and done this sooner. I can kind of tell that stuff is just loose. And it's sort of just rinsed off other areas. But that brain, just how much it's spewing out brain chunkos. This is clearly the superior way to clean this out. So. And I mean, I'm not wrong in so much that, like, having less stuff for the chemical to work on means that the chemical reaction will go longer, blah, 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 blah. So having a bunch of extra is going to reduce the hydrogen peroxide faster, but man. So yeah, just imagine this disgusting thing will soon, within a couple months, be a beautiful jewel-encrusted skull on a wall. We're just not anywhere there yet because we still have brains fountaining out the back of that skull. I'm surprised by the amount of blood that's coming out too, which is really good. That means that's coming out areas I couldn't clean, so that's great, but also gross. Oh wow, that really okay. Now we have some pretty significant color change in the jaw. Not up there, but back here these were very red, and that's very not red anymore. Delightful. I'll do one more bottle when I move it. I'm not going to do it here. I don't want to have to try and move it off of my desk once it's like super, super full. So. But yeah, I'll put it to bed with one more bottle. So there's that. Alright, well that's amazing. I'm entirely happy with this. Okay. Beautiful humans. Let me put this down. Oh, whew. Oh, another big chunk just started to come out. Dang! Yeah, like big chunk. Well, now I definitively know that the best way to get brains out is just dump hydrogen peroxide in there. Like, this is just way more effective than me poking it with sticks. Wow. Alright. So much learning. So much learning. This is great. Alright, beautiful humans. I am going to wrap it up. I want to move this out, and I've got to do... I have to do some setup out in my hall, so I want to make sure I've got that out there. So, thanks everybody for all the nights that it took to get it to this point. This is pretty exciting. I might actually work on it next week after it's been soaking for a week. We'll see if there's... I'll definitely check in. I'll make sure you guys get to see it. I don't know how much work there'll be to do or if I just need to soak it more, but I'll keep you in the loop as that goes. And yeah, this is actually a lot of cleanup today. So thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for watching me go ew a whole lot because this was very exciting to play with. And I will keep you up to speed as I go. So everybody take care. Have a good week. Stay safe. And I will see you guys all next time. Good night.